Hey everybody, how's it going? My name is Noble and welcome to the channel, and in today's video I'm going to be going over my thoughts / impressions of the New World beta that's currently going on right now. If you're watching this, pretty recently, or if you're watching this just before launch on August 31st. So guys, this isn't going to be your typical review impressions video. I will tell you straight on right here that I will not be talking a lot about the PvP from New World. I mainly was only focused on the questing, how the gameplay felt, how the combat, really worked, the crafting, the quest giving, and other things of that nature. A separate PvP video will be coming out later on, so if that's what you're interested in, maybe this isn't the video for you, but if it is something you're looking for, don't worry, it'll be coming out very, very soon. But guys, be sure to subscribe and hit like on the video so we can get this to as many New World players as possible. But without further ado, guys, let's go ahead and jump straight on into it. The first thing that I want to talk about is not even a negative, it's just what was happening, and I saw a lot of people, doing this. This is just related to the beta, and I know they're testing servers and testing strength, so this really isn't a negative, it's just a fact. So the lag detection in this game is kind of ridiculous. I was playing for about 5 minutes, and then I was kicked out for the lag detection, and then I had to restart my game. Now, in the course of an hour, I apparently lagged out 6 times. It was not fun. It did not happen to me every single day, but it was extremely frustrating when I was trying to record footage for this video and, get used to some of the features that the game has to offer. I just was constantly being kicked. So if this is just server stuff, I know it's gonna get fixed. It's just been a little bit of an annoyance, but I did want to bring that up in case any of you are going to pre-order the beta right now and, jump in to get access to it. But moving on to more of the positives, guys, so the first thing that I really want to get into is just how great the world looks. It really doesn't look like an MMO type of world. Think of the classic ones that we have right now. I think ESO probably comes the closest, maybe Final Fantasy, I'm not completely sure, but it is definitely a world that is full of life, and I'm not just talking about enemies to fight. I'm talking about the wildlife. There are deer running around, boar, elk, all sorts of cool things. They really just kind of put you into the world and kind of give you a nice sense of atmosphere, the place is alive, teeming with life. So that's really fun as far as immersion and just being able to sit in a game and know you're going to be playing it for a good while. It's not going to be super boring, which brings me right into the graphics. It's pretty beautiful. Now, it is a beta, so there were a lot of glitches. There were trees that were fell down in the forest, right? And I couldn't see them, but I couldn't move, and then in front of me I just saw dead tree, and I would just cut it away and then keep moving. But then if you didn't know where the tree ended, you kind of just were going down a line waiting to get through. But that is to be expected with a beta, but everything looks fantastic, even up close on some of the cosmetics that you earn in the game. It's nice. It's definitely going to be a game that's actually visually appealing, but we know visuals aren't all that make an MMO. The next thing that I want to talk about is the quest giving and progression. So New World has an interesting way of setting up their skill trees. You basically have a skill tree for each weapon, and then you have base points, your health, how fast you regen health, strength, all sorts of things will be up on the screen for you guys to see. And every time you level, you get those points. You then can put those points into wherever you're trying to, make your build, whether you want to have, heavy sword power, or heavy hammer, or life staff things. There's a variety of ways you can go. It's not that hard of a system. It's actually pretty simple, which I find to be pretty nice. Should be easy for newer players to get on, even if people who aren't, aren't going to be playing at launch. This is going to be something that I think is going to be easy for people to jump right into without needing to watch a 30-minute video on how to build or level properly. It's very well explained, at least in my opinion. That being said, the progression, I've leveled up in this video. You're probably not seeing anything past level 10 because of how many times I was getting kicked, so it was just getting frustrating to play after a while. But getting to level 10, now here's a little bit of a caveat, guys. If you're not grinding the game, you'll reach level 10 in you know, an hour or less. You know, it's not too bad. The way you level up, or at least in the beta right now, like killing mobs is a pretty fast way to level up, especially in the early levels. It changes a little bit as you know, continue to go up, but the beginning stages, it's not that long. It doesn't make you feel like you're wasting time. I know a lot of people really wanted to grind all the way to max level because that's where a lot of the PvP can be experienced, but my philosophy on that is like, I'm just gonna wait until the game comes out, or I'm gonna watch other people play it all at max level, because that's not really what's gonna determine whether or not I play the game long term. It's gonna be outside of the PvP and basically the PvE and the quests and things. So going back to progression though, it does feel nice. It feels pretty smooth. The questing is probably not my favorite, but it's a pleasant surprise. Since they've made all these changes in the last year from what the game was originally supposed to be, I think the variety of quests that they have and the depths of some of the quests, you know, are good enough. I'm sure that they will change over the course of New World's life, but as far as right now, I really have no complaints. A lot of the quests are go out here, skin a couple things, go over here, bang a couple rocks together, or kill a bunch of wolves, or gather materials, and that's to be expected in this kind of MMO, especially if you look at the theme of the game. Like, it is what it is. It's gonna be like a hunter-gatherer crafting type of missions that you do for the NPCs in different towns, so it's not that bad. I haven't really been messing around with the main story. I was a little bit into it when I started playing on day one, but since then I haven't really cared about the story at all, and I've just been exploring how different parts of the game work. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the crafting / harvesting. So we're going to start with harvesting first, because I do think this is something they need to change, but I don't know if they will or not. So harvesting things, I think, takes way too long. Depending on what you're doing, like I was sitting there like just smashing a boulder with a hammer, and it took like 10-15 seconds for me to finish harvesting all of that stone. To me, that just seems unnecessary. There are better ways to have a good crafting and harvesting experience without making it, you know, be like a real life simulator, if that makes sense. So they do need to, I think, change the time it takes for harvesting things. That being said, there are certain perks that you get from like the town, where like you can click on, you know, getting a 5% increase in harvesting time, which can come in handy when you're just going on a, you know, wild harvesting and crafting spree. It'll actually come really like in handy, but I don't think it's the best to just have it as like a perk. I think it would just be easier just to lower the time, and then for like master crafters or something, one of those rewards, if there is like a master crafter achievement, right, you then can have increased or decreased like harvesting time. I think that would be the best thing for the game at that point. But that doesn't mean that harvesting isn't fun. It's pretty interactive outside of that. I like kind of like the auto loot system. Like when you're crafting something, you don't have to kneel back down like in ESO, where you like, or when you harvest something, you kneel down, you hit inventory, you bring everything in, and then you continue on. After you finish cutting a tree down or mining a boulder or skinning something, it immediately gets transported into your inventory, which is a really nice quality of life thing that I really found helpful. And then the crafting, not bad at all. It's pretty easy and straightforward. It tells you the ingredients you need, the level, how much you can make. You just hit craft and boom, you're done. Nothing particularly crazy, nothing long that I've done. I actually haven't even been grinding my crafting, so it's not all maxed out and level, so that's not what you're seeing here. And I know that as you continue on, you know, you playing, you're gonna have, you know, longer crafting times and all that, but as far as just the base of what we have right now, it's a fine system outside of the incredibly long harvesting times. So let's talk about the factions. There are 3 of them. They will be up on the screen. You've got the Marauders, you've got the Syndicate, and then you've got the other one that I really don't remember the name of because it really is terrible and I hate the way it sounds. So it reminds me of the Aldermary Dominion from ESO. So this is mainly for a bit why I'm not mentioning them, but it'll be up on the screen for you. I decided to join the Syndicate for the beta. It's basically kind of like the Secrets of Knowledge kind of explorer type of faction. And what's cool about these is they will have a faction board which gives you missions that you can go out and complete to get currency within that faction to then purchase gear and other cosmetic items. That is pretty cool. You also can get dyes and stuff. I mean, that's what I've been doing with playing with the Syndicate. I haven't done anything with the Marauder or the other group yet, but I feel like this is a really good way to provide gear in quests. It kind of gives you a purpose to your faction outside of just saying, oh, I'm a part of this faction, and then nothing else. I feel like they could really take this a whole nother step, and since you won't be able to change factions like right off the bat or all the time, I think it's like every 120 days, I believe, when I picked it, that's pretty nice, pretty substantial, and you will be able to just get a good feel for the factions before you decide which one you want to eventually join, and then changing isn't that hard either. But I really have enjoyed the faction quests. They reset every day as far as the beta goes, so I'm going around and doing the same thing to pick up certain items, but it is a fun little system. And then we can just really dive into what I know a lot of people want to talk about, and that is the PvP. Like I said, a whole other video is coming on that later. Make sure you toggle PvP off if you're trying to learn the game, because when you join, you're pretty much auto flag, because I didn't flag purposely. I may have done it by accident, but I was just doing a quest and immediately was killed by some other players, which isn't going to be fun for some people. But then again, most of this, game's player base is going to be PvP focused, so it may not be the game for you if you're only into PvE. But if you're trying to get used to the game, I would make sure to toggle that off so you don't get attacked. The PvP seems good. That's really all I'll say on it. I'll save all of my details for my next video, but that pretty much brings us into the combat and how it feels, especially like when you're fighting NPCs. It reminds me of just, like those single player action combat games, kind of. So I'm getting used to, aiming more. In previous MMOs, I could just hit a button and my ability would still hit the target regardless. So you'll probably have seen in the footage on the screen that I've either been missing or just been firing an ability, and it's completely in the opposite direction, and there's really no reason, for me to be doing that. It's just because I'm used to having things go a certain way. So actually being able to turn around and saying, okay, now I have to fire this ability because I'm now facing the target is going to be something I'm going to have to get used to, but that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's definitely combat that I can get used to, and I kind of enjoy it. As far as the beta goes, my impressions and final thoughts are as follows. The game looks beautiful, the combat is decent, nothing too crazy. The harvesting time for crafting takes way too long and needs to be reduced. As a base, you still can have the decreased, harvesting time as a perk, but it can't be this long. It's just going to take too long to do things, and people who have limited time to play may not just want to spend it crafting and spending their time hitting a tree for 15 seconds. Actions seem pretty cool, and the quests and rewards that they offer definitely provide some kind of incentive that I think players will be using for a long time throughout the game, so that is a refreshing take on a faction system. Questing and progression seem solid. I would not recommend grinding this game even when it comes out, because I really feel like you'll burn out. This game is something that I think you may burn out faster than you normally would if you aren't careful. It's just the way the game feels. I can't really explain that. Maybe you disagree. If you do, I want to hear that in the comments why you would disagree. But guys, a final score of the beta, I'll give it a 7 out of 10. I really hate getting kicked, and that's what's been happening a lot. So if they can fix that, then great. But the beta ends in like a week, so it's not really that big of a deal. I just hope there aren't any huge, connection problems with the live servers once they go up, or that'll be pretty disappointing. But guys, let me know what you think of New World. What do you think of the beta if you're playing? If you're not playing and are interested in the game, why are you interested, and why do you want to play, or why do you not want to play? I want to hear all those things in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Noble, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.